Welcome back to this episode of the Law of Relevancy podcast. Today I have on the show two of my favorite people, Chris Fisher and Seth Kushner. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
This is going to be great. I'm so excited.
Well, I don't know if a lot of people realize, but you guys are a kind of a famous duo for the area.
Come on now. I don't. If you have to set it up with, I don't know if people realize you're famous, then you're not famous.
Let's walk around International Mall and see if anybody notices us.
Yeah, well, that was in the old days when there was such a thing called a face for radio, right?
Yeah, we still got them.
So you guys had one of the most popular shows in the history of Tampa Bay, the Fisher and Boy Show on 97X.
I would say it was a good thing. I think when they talk about the great shows of Tampa Bay, I don't know if we're going to get mentioned in those. No. But for what it was, and at that time, and especially where the radio station is now, I mean, that was some of the best time that I've had in my life. Met some of my best friends and learned. I think I learned everything that I know now in that part of my career.
Yeah, sorry about that.
But that show, when did that show end? What year?
It ended with he and I at the helm in 2011.
Yeah, 2011.
And then Drew Garabo came in for the next year and a half or so.
And we're 12 years later, right? And this is the first time you guys have gotten back together?
I think on
microphones
do a show. Yeah. I think like he's been on my podcast. I've done some stuff with him, but I don't think we've ever like sat down, with somebody like you and really peeled back the onion or banana, whatever.
And there's no onions. There's no
bananas. There's no bananas. What do you peel back?
Well, that's the thing is, part of our, for lack of a better term, our shtick back then was to always be peeling back layers and to always be kind of authentic and open and honest, no matter, if I got my car repoed or something else.
I told Mike about that the other day, that you were so afraid to go to your mailbox. It gave you anxiety that you didn't pay your car bill, and then they repoed his car.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things you said most often back then was how many Miller Lights you had the night before.
It wasn't because of that.
Was it the Ambien and Facebooking that you used to do?
There's that. There's a lot of stuff.
Sorry, your kid's going to see this.
All right, so Ambien and Facebook, just real quick. So there was a stint of Ambien, like 2 years. I couldn't sleep at night. And but what would happen is I would wake up, not realizing I even woke up, not remembering I woke up, and do stuff. And so, go on Facebook with rants or send an email to a sales girl professing my love and, all this kind of stuff.
It's a dark time. I had to hoist this guy up on my shoulders and prop him up for our run together.
Yep.
Well, speaking of that run, the reason I say that you guys had one of the top shows is because your audience was huge. I think you guys were top one or two in the market.
No. We all
come on, man. Let them rewrite history for us.
No
one's checking the records.
Here's the thing. Back then, your top shows would have been
Bubba, MJ,
Bubba and MJ.
Yeah,
and Orlando.
Yep. Yeah,
those are always your top three, basically.
Tampa's always been a top radio market, and I think we always wanted to be number one, but we were happy. And I don't think maybe we appreciated it as much, or I didn't, as I would now. But we had our niche, like we had our audience. But the thing is, we were in a world where we were in a lose-lose world because we were half talk, half music. And I think you got to go one way or another. We never knew if people were listening to us to hear us talk or to hear the music. And you never know. And so I just think when you're talking about like Bubba and MJ, like those guys weren't playing music at all. So I felt like we kind of had our own thing going, but I never really knew why people listened to us.
I think a lot of it did have to do with, wanting another choice. Like, even though Bubba and MJ were huge, they also had people that hated them. So I think we won by default. We were also nicer, I think, just like
nicer.
Like on the air, we just came off as nicer and more accessible.
You're nice. I mean, you were a super nice guy. I mean, that's why you got sent out to do all those gigs and everything. Like I'm glad I kind of came up under you because not a lot of people are nice.
Well, thank you.
But I think, just from knowing you guys, you are the same people like in real life as you are on the mics.
I think so. I think it's always been that way, right?
Yeah, you're kind of a caricature of yourself, It's not a full representation because you kind of, one of the downsides of being in the performance or entertainment industry is those days that you don't want to turn it on, those days that you don't want to put on a smile and act like, whatever. you still have to. So, so you just kind of dial in those parts of your personality that you hope that are entertaining or interesting, compelling, and just beef it up like adjusting the contrast or the saturation when you're taking a picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have the picture, but then you add a lot more saturation to it. I guess that's kind of what radio personalities are.
I think we were ourselves. I only know how to be myself. Just like when I talked to you the other day about I was having an anxiety attack. That stuff I would talk about on the radio, and I would add some more color to it and try to make it a little bit funnier than the conversation we had. But I only knew how to be myself, and I think Fisher was himself, and I think that's the only way that you can break through to an audience or have any fans is if you're authentic, and you got to put it all out there. And a lot of our stuff was. Fisher was a mess. His life was a mess. I was neurotic. Like I was just a kid in my 20s, who knows doing what. And I mean, it was a good combination. It was a good mix for a show, but like none of us had our stuff together whatsoever. And maybe that's why people liked it.
And so you had the show, you had a good run. And so what happened after 2012? Where did your lives lead? Because I think y'all have changed quite a bit since then in terms of what you're up to now.
Well, in 2013, so in 2012, I lost my father. So all within 18 months, I lost my father, my morning show, my house, and then my job. And that was all within 18 months. Did I get Baker acted? I got Baker acted in that mix as well.
That's a good story, but we don't have enough time for that today.
So yeah, and then from there it was like a rebuilding, and I'm so glad that it actually happened because radio had beaten me down. I'd become one of those radio people who you have to make sure there's a separation between what you're doing on the air and off the air, and those lines became became more and more blurred over the years. And so I was kind of stuck in Fisher, what I call Fisher mode, because there's Chris Fisher, me, Christopher Michael Fisher, Chris. And then there's kind of like Fisher, the guy that's on the radio.
Who are you right now?
He's vacillating.
I'm a guy, obviously with my, my monotone delivery. I'm just being boring Chris. Okay. I'm hungry Chris. That's what I am right now. And, so I needed a break. I think it would have killed me eventually. It would have been some horrible story. So yeah, 2012, 13 was really just going into a cave and trying to figure it out. And then slowly from there, I don't know. I got a new perspective on radio once I was out of radio, realizing the future of radio is not necessarily the transmitter in a field. It's going to be social media and so many other aspects that surround that. And so I started to, delve into that world. And that's when I met you for the first time. And I mean, I was a little bit after. I was like
2017.
And really started to hone my digital skills and social media skills. And then that ultimately helped me get back into radio, where I am now at the Eagle, 107.3, Tampa Bay's classic hits.
Yeah, we can catch you every morning on that.
You better. Yeah. Nothing else to listen to.
I'm listening in my ear right now to your best ofs.
How about you, Seth?
I continue to do radio at the same company we were at. I dabbled in top 40 radio, which was horrible. I went over to talk radio, which I felt like 102.5 in Tampa. Kind of felt like that was the major leagues of radio, at least in town, and I wanted to go over and kind of prove to everybody and myself that I could hang over there. And, I did. I established myself. And but I didn't believe in my company. No offense. Fisher works for them. I didn't believe in the company. Or I didn't think they were embracing podcasting. Like, we had a podcast that had numbers, and we took it to the sales department, and they said, we don't know how to make money off this. And I was like, we have thousands of downloads, and we're giving this to you guys, and you don't know how to make money off of it. And we figured it out. So I didn't believe in it a lot. I was tired of, being told, no, you can't have more money. No, you can't, we're not going to let you be a manager, all that kind of stuff. So, in 2019, I just quit. I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have money saved up. I just couldn't do it anymore. I felt like I wasn't going anywhere in my career. And I always wanted to feel like I was working towards something and building towards something. So 2019, I quit. for about 3 months. I didn't work, and Cord, you look concerned. Are you
No.
So I quit. I ended up, there was a couple of jobs out there. I ended up working for the Lightning. I started doing a show for them. They called me a podcast called The Block Party, which was awesome. I didn't want to go back into the radio, but the only real job offer I had was from Bubba the Love Sponge.
Yeah, tell me about that experience, because Seth and I, kind of lost touch. We would like text each other a couple times a year, like what's up, but never really. So what was that experience like?
We're a couple of dudes. We don't need to talk all the time,
Yeah.
You were, I was in your wedding.
Yeah, that's true.
And I had more than 3 people in mind, you would have been in my wedding.
No,
so
that's fine. I don't want to be in weddings, trust me.
So what was it like? Because for so many years we're competing against, not just competing against Bubba, because we never really looked at it like we were competing against Bubba, because we knew we couldn't.
Yeah.
And so next thing you know, you're on his team.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's 20 years in between the next thing you know, but to me, Bubba, like I said, it was the only solid job offer. It gave me a chance to go in, work from 6 to 10, do my Lightning stuff, do my other freelance stuff. And I also felt like, okay, Bubba's, one of the biggest names in radio history, and I get to work with him for a little bit on my way out, because that was going to be it. I'll go ahead and do it. And working with Bubba for a year was, he was a great guy to me. Like, I don't have anything bad to say. Took care of me to the point where other people
awesome.
on the staff were mad because he gave me special treatment. But like, he treated me well. I just didn't want to do that anymore. So I got hired to work at a mental health company from actually one of Bubba's listeners, and did that for about a year and got let go. I was the vice president of social media and podcasting, and within a week, I was working here. So, and this is exactly where I want to be at Cords. I don't officially have my title memorized, but I needed to go to a place where my biggest fear was that I didn't have a skill set, because I was in radio and I go, what can I do? I can talk. Okay, like what's my skill set? But I was able to, over the last couple of years, figure out what that is, hone in on that. And now there are jobs in this world, and especially at Bake More Pies, where you need social media people, you need podcast people. Those are the people that you're looking for. And it's like, oh my God, I can do that stuff. And this is the world I wanted to eventually be in, and it feels awesome.
Well, I think it's important for you guys to know that, you guys really didn't leave radio. Radio left you. Radio changed a lot in the last 12 years. Huge amount of consolidation. There's differences in formats. You were innovating with social media, and you were getting in trouble for it.
Oh yeah, I would go on MySpace back in the 97X days, and I would promote our concerts. Like, I didn't make any money off of it, but I'd go promote our concerts, and I'd get the promotions director would go into our boss and go, he's blowing this. We need to save this stuff for our email blast. Your email blast, and it's like, social media was it. Like, that, it started with MySpace, and you should have just been embracing promotion and using it then, and they were shunning it, and I never stopped doing what I wanted to do on there, and I've never stopped. So that was a long time ago. I think they've changed a little bit, but that was not something that they embraced. But I never wavered from how I felt about social media. It's the best way to promote things, the best way to promote yourself.
You're talking about how radio's changed so much drastically in the last 15, 20 years. Really started with the telecommunications bill in 1996, when they deregulated the industry. So instead of just a company coming in and only being able to own 2 radio stations in a market, they could come in and own 5, 6, even in some cases like up to 7 radio stations. So now it became very viable to big corporations. Like, okay, we can start,
buying them up.
Buying up all this media, right? So just, it's a constant battle for me. There's a part of me that wanted to leave radio altogether, and because of more of the corporate, because that's what it's become. What radio was pre-1996, it will never be again. It's just the way it is. Every industry out there that got deregulated will never be the industry it once was.
I had a great time from the 2000s that I worked there. Radio was awesome for me.
But in recent years, like, I'm So I've been wavering, going back and forth, and I've zeroed out. I had to make some decisions. So I'm going to focus on this corporate thing because I think I still have a lot to offer. I think I can make an impact at our company and in the industry. I don't know. So I have changed a lot too. Like if you listen to me now at the Eagle, it's nothing like what we were doing at X. Every day, every waking moment was like, what can we do to make people go, holy shit, I can't believe they just did that on the radio. Which then I realized later on in life meant we were shock jocks. Because then people say, you're a shock jock. I'm like, I'm not a shock jock.
Well, in the social media world, we call that story.
Yeah. So
we would have been. I mean, we would have been fired for stuff that we did.
Oh yeah, canceled it.
I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, we were just. I was reckless with my ideas because I didn't care. I was like just in my 20s, just being creative, and we were just. Our boss let us do really whatever we wanted to. I don't know whether he was checked out or he just was letting us explore creating in a world where it was dominated by Bubba and MJ. But yeah, we did a lot of crazy things, and yeah. It was, but I think for what Fisher's saying about radio changing. I just think radio is just Fisher loves it. I mean, it's in him. I saw him when he was out of it. Like he always wanted to get back, and I'm like, why are you trying to get back? And I didn't think he was going to get back. And to get back now at the same company when a position opens up, because full-time positions in radio, I mean, especially
they're rare now.
Yeah, you have a better chance, I think, of being a quarterback in the NFL than you do be, as far as being full-time in radio. And it's in him. Like he loves it. It's a part of him, and it's not for me, and it wasn't for me. I kind of fell into it. It was just something I liked when I was 19, but it's just something he likes. So I think no matter what happens with radio, Fisher will change and evolve, and he'll go with it wherever it goes. And maybe when he says it's not going in a great direction, I think he might bail. But it just there's some people radio is just in them, and I think he's just one of them.
Yeah, I used radio to connect with people. Right. Like I felt like I was connecting with my community. Radio to me wasn't like all of a sudden, I'm the big dog, I'm the king. Now I'm going to take my little world.
You guys were never that way.
No. It's I also that's one of the reasons why I would always bring up the less attractive parts of me on the radio, because I wanted people listening, especially in this world. Even back then, everything in the media was so perfect, on radio and television. You're trying to be perfect. Fast forward to social media. Everybody's trying to put forward this perfect image. And so I felt like that was my place to carve out a niche, was to be the antithesis of that and be like, I'm just another idiot here from, Florida man, basically, who's just happened to be on the radio. And so would use any opportunity to kind of show my belly.
Just be honest. I mean, you guys were being authentic back before it was cool. Nowadays, people are struggling to be authentic on social media.
Yeah. I mean, people. I mean, I did. I don't want to. We had an education. I think we can look at. We were making money, and it was our career. But I think from the way I look back on it, I was in college for 18 years in radio, learning everything that I'm able to, bring here today, and right. To, hopefully, the world, like that's how I look at things. So
I don't think I could be if I were starting today at 20 years old, I don't think I could be in radio, because this era where you're not focused on what's going on the radio as much as
it's like about TikTok.
Yeah. Like, like I'm thinking if I were to do a contemporary hits-based format, which would be top 40, like Hot 101.5 or 97X, 97.1, and you're constantly keeping up with what's new, man, screw that. I don't care. I watch the morning show over at Hot 101.5, like do the TikTok challenge every week with their listeners and all that stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad I got out, or I'm no longer a part of that world.
Towards the whole radio thing flipped to where social media, before I left, my boss confirmed this, where social media was more important than actually what was going out over the radio. It went from like, oh my God, we got to protect the radio at all costs, to now more people are going to see your social media, your Facebook, your stupid TikToks, than are going to actually hear you, and so that's why they've put an importance on so much that they'll hire a TikTok girl to be their morning show person ahead of anybody that actually has radio experience these days.
Well, I've actually talked to some radio stations recently, and I'm like, how you doing? How are your numbers? And they're like, oh, our numbers are great. You should see our Facebook. You should see our Instagram. And they like it because now they have quantifiable metrics that aren't coming from Arbitron.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we have both. And things are still, well, like people are going, oh, radio's dying, radio's not dying.
It's not dying.
And it is still, I think, the most popular medium in the world. So, and one of the reasons being is because it's so simple. You could build a radio transmitter. You could build a radio to pick up the transmission at home. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think radio is going to be around for a long time. How it looks 20 years from now, I have no idea. But I think that's anything right now in our culture. I don't know how the professional sports, how the NFL is going to look in 20 years either.
Bigger and better. I'll tell you.
You think?
Yeah, or it'll go away completely with all the CTE cases, one or the other. Yeah, and give me an A or give me an F. Yeah, it's I can.
But my mentality right now is I'm ride or die. I'm like Seth said, I am radio. I hate to admit that. And it's almost like a bad thing too if your career becomes too much a part of you, But you were out of radio for long enough to know that was a part of you. Oh yeah.
So that's what you discovered, and that's what you're going to go after, until they tell you that you're done.
Well, I don't know if you guys know this about yourself, but you are extremely talented on the microphone. Like just the way you talk and you describe things and the way that you guys banter back and forth, your timing, it is very, very good, and it's part of what makes you guys.
But it doesn't seem like. I mean, I appreciate it, but it seems we're just talking.
God, I wish he was our boss. Our boss never ever said.
That's why it's called talent, not skill.
Our boss never said those words to us. So. Yeah. Wow, he would just say, "Seth, you talked a little bit too much today." Yeah. I'm like, okay.
You guys try sounding like the Smothers Brothers a little bit more.
Yeah, there
were you a part of that, or was that the Napoleon?
I was.
Years?
No, there was some weird guidance that the consultants that probably were making more money than we were would come in and tell us, they would go, hey, you guys need to talk about Survivor, and you have to talk about Friends, and you have to talk about American Idol.
They were right. They were right. One of the things that Seth and I were doing, which is what I'd always done, was I was trying to come up with shit that people hadn't come up with before, which some people will argue there's no such thing. Every cool idea has been done before, maybe in just a slightly different way. Well, we wouldn't, hear that. We're like, no. And so you're always trying to come up with stuff that was based on our personal lives or observation or whatever. But radio is so easy. It really is. If you can move your ego to the side a little bit and just take the top 10, we called it a hot sheet, the top 10 topics in America and in your town, your market, every day, and just look at that sheet. You don't have to get too creative and just go, okay, these are the things we're talking about. We don't even have to come up with the best jokes or the best stories.
Those are the things that are relevant to people today.
It's like what we call it the dog ear thing. Like, when your dog is kind of always kind of listening, as soon as you go, treat, he's in. Well, radio is something similar. So you say something that people already know. American Idol. Now, granted, this is 15, 20 years ago.
And their ears perk up,
And this is something they know. Their brain reacts. Oh, I know this. I don't have to explain to them what American Idol is, And so those are the things that are easy and safe and where most morning shows should be. And then, maybe every now and again, you come up with that bit that is based on something that happened in your personal life that blows up, that quote unquote hasn't been done before, but in some era somewhere something similar has been done.
Isn't that fragile though? Aren't you depending on these external things in order to create the content?
But that's it. We're just looking for content, and the content's already out there. Mm-hmm. And by the way, you might talk to a lot of radio DJs or personalities that heard what I just said and go, no. I'm always trying to think of ways to come up with something different, which we are. But the reality is you're not. Which makes you take a deep breath. I understand.
Yeah. Well, I was putting together a lot of ideas, and we did a lot of crazy things, and I don't know how original they were, but they were fun, and I didn't want to copy anybody's idea. If it was something we thought of and we did it, but that's, as a producer, that's what was driving me, and it still drives me to come up with things that haven't been done of and things that haven't been thought of before. And I think that's
why I'm happy to have you on the team. Is I need that. Like, we need that energy in social media.
Yeah. No, that's how I feel. If you can. I get what Fisher's saying. It probably has all been done before on the radio, but that you still got to keep trying. You still got to figure out, what that thing is, whether it's been done and you can cut through or not. So,
what's a bit you guys did back in the day that you think would just be really successful today on social media?
Oh man, everything we did.
What about New Release Tuesday? Do you think that would play?
Yeah.
I think that would be a good TikTok thing.
Yeah, we would send like one of our interns down to the jail on Tuesday because
and it was a girl by herself and she's tiny.
This was actually Fisher's idea, which is rare that he had a good idea. I took this idea to other radio. I took this idea, like I don't like to take anybody else's idea, but I took this idea to other radio shows with me because it was so good.
I had other radio shows call me and ask if they could do it in their market in Atlanta.
All right, so tell me what this was.
So the albums came out on Tuesday. So Fisher had an idea this actually started the day Paris Hilton got out of jail.
I was going to ask you if you remembered how
she was in jail back in the day. So Fisher goes, "Hey, what's going on at our jail? Send our intern down there and let's talk to the inmates that are getting they get released early in the morning." That's kind of the deal. So it was hit or miss. It was hit or miss with some people would come on and tell you the life story. Some people would need cigarettes. Some people would be like, "Get away from me." But we would get some people that were just flat out characters. And that's kind of what my belief was, is that there were so many characters out there in the world in our area. Like, we got to find those people and highlight them. So we did. I mean, we did that every Tuesday. We recorded them after the show. We did that for, I think, probably years. So, and I think now, if we had a camera crew and everything down, the guy's out of jail, you put it up on Instagram, and who knows, maybe some other people want to help the guy out, we also did something called Nude with a Dude. I don't know if we could. Where two guys got in a sleeping bag, and it was like whoever could stay in there the longest, like, won the tickets.
I think there's one that I did for years that would have surely gotten us canceled, and that's Head Injury Harry.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that could have flown at all? Because
no.
Head Injury Harry was...
I don't think we should even talk about it.
Yeah?
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of characters in radio.
It was a character, basically, that was our traffic guy. Right. And so they want when I came up with him, we came up with a story, and that was he was hit by a minivan, but he's spending his rest of his life fighting traffic for you and me, and he just had a speech impediment. We never made fun of him. We never called him the R word. We never. He was always the hero of everything, and I think that's why we got away with it for so many years. But then I got a letter from Park, a charity here locally, asking if Harry could come speak.
Oh my God!
And that's when I went to the program director. I go, "We gotta. It's getting too hot. He's got to move on." So then we killed off his mom, and then he moved to Fort Lauderdale to run a Blockbuster Video.
I don't remember his whole backstory. Jesus Louise, man. I just remember that a lot of people thought he was real. Yeah. It was incredible to watch Fisher back in the day. He would go from, all right, we're on the, blah, blah, blah. Hey, coming up, we're going to play the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And then he would have to dial a phone and call in as Head Injury Harry. So he's doing this. And it was incredible to watch him pull that off 8 times a show.
I mean, there was
I'd lean away from the microphone to talk into the phone as Harry.
Right.
Then come back to the microphone to ask Harry a question.
I mean, that's talent. That's skill and talent to be able to figure that out. I mean, I remember there was one radio talk show guy named Ed Henry that used to do like 5 or 6 different Phil Henry. They used to do 5 or 6 different voices.
Oh, more than that.
In an entire show with just himself.
One of my heroes. Yeah, I love Phil.
Yeah, he's a genius. Yeah. That guy's a genius. Yeah.
But it just goes to show you. But I think that there are, and one of the things I love talking about, are just fundamental truths. And I think just the entertaining component of watching something like that or listening to something like that and being able to go back and forth. I mean, we've had ventriloquists for years be able to do it.
Uh-oh, we have an accident. Eastbound I-4.
That's terrible.
That was it.
And so now you're both fathers.
Yeah.
I never thought that. I didn't think he was going to ever even get married. Yeah. I'm surprised. It happened. I mean, he's 50. I'm not calling the man out, but it happened. It did happen later. So my prediction wasn't way off. But I mean, I never just. He was a wild man.
I wasn't wild. I just couldn't be tamed. Oh, I guess that means I'm wild. No, I'm just kidding. When I hit 40, I remember having a joke when I would go do like open mics and stuff like that. I turned 40, never been married, don't have any kids, no alimony, this. I win, I win life, and it was right after I said that joke out loud that I tripped and fell into love with Lauren.
That's usually when it happens.
Yep.
And so now, what's it like being a father and taking care of your families and doing what you have to do to support them and to grow this little human being?
I am really happy with the position that I'm in now, having a kid. We have our own story of trying to conceive and how long it took, and I don't know if I would have been ready at the right time. I think the radio lifestyle and being a dad to any kid or almost 5-year-old or whatever, it's insane. So I'm extremely happy that I am in a position now to where I can actually take care of my family,
right.
And that I did all that stuff, and that my daughter doesn't have to, go on the radio and hear about any of my sexploits or anything from my life that you have to talk about when you're on the radio for 4 hours a day. And she gets to, I get to come to this job. She gets to watch me doing the lightning stuff, and I get to be the dad and portrayed as the way that I want to be, and not some, dirty perv on the radio, which is, how the early part of my career went. So I'm happy with the way everything played out, and I'm extremely happy with the situation I'm in now. I never felt like, oh man, my daughter's not going to think I'm cool because I'm not on the radio or anything like that. So now she gets to see me, doing the stuff for the Lightning and hanging out with those guys, and she thinks that's cool.
The reality is, it doesn't matter if you're on the radio or if you are a Tampa Bay Lightning. She at one point will think you're not cool, no matter what.
Well, yeah, but right now it's important that I want her to think that I'm cool. So
that'll be in about 10 years.
Yeah, when I'm on her iPad and doing a show, yeah, that's when I'm on YouTube. Yeah, she thinks I'm a big deal. So yeah, I'm just happy with the way that everything worked out for my career. I mean, if Fisher couldn't have had a kid, back when we were doing radio. I mean, I couldn't have had a kid with just being in the morning routine, and it just wouldn't have worked out. So I think things worked out the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, I'm a new dad of a 8.5-month-old, and
he's doing half now. He's doing half months. What a new dad!
Well, everything they say is true. Like the second he came out, man, things started to change immediately. I could feel it. There's a physiological. You can just feel it, something all over your body, and it's just been amazing ever since. Of course, yes, there's the difficult parts of the not sleeping and the how much his poop has changed since he started eating food.
What about the ear-piercing screaming? That cuts to your core. What about that?
I had to put him down once. I almost not dropped him, but I had to put him down quickly because I have bad ears anyway, being in radio for 30 years around music and headphones. And so he is just screaming, and I feel like my ears are going to bleed, and I put him down on the ground as fast as I can, take a couple steps away from him. And Lauren comes around the corner and gives me that look like, what the F are you doing? So we get into it for 1 second. I'm like, honey, because I knew she was coming around the corner. Right. She was going to be right there. But, whatever. So to answer your question, yeah, I almost dropped him because of that.
As Fisher's producer back in the day, I would have advised him against telling that story about him almost dropping his child and the fact that his wife did think that he did that. But, that's just Fisher. He just says things, Maybe people can relate. Maybe people want to get him canned. But, yeah, that's he told me that story the other day on the phone. I'm like, whoa, don't tell that to anybody else. And here we are.
It was like this. He's screaming, and I went, ah, and then
oh, boy.
Stepped over him and walked out of the room. All it was. Left him there crying. I knew his mom was coming.
Oh boy, Courts, get a hold of this thing.
We had so one of the things
I didn't drop him into shallow water.
Yeah, I can tell you. So now I'm a dad for the second time. So I have a 15-year-old son at Plant that I'm extremely proud of, and he's doing great, and he's doing rowing and all these great things. And then here I am. When he was 14, we had another one come along. So my second marriage, I now have a 17-month-old little girl, and it's so different having a little girl, but a lot of things are the same. But I'm only remembering that as they come along because I forget so much from it being over 10 years since I had my first kid. And now we have another one on the way. So we have one that's going to be coming in October. I think October the 13th.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We don't know if it's a boy or girl yet.
You going to do a surprise?
We're going to do a gender reveal next month.
What are we? Fireworks? What are we going to do?
I have no idea
because we don't know. News if it backfires.
What we did, we had the doctors give us an envelope with the answer in it, and we gave it to one of Haley's best friends. And so she's planning this whole thing at our house, and the theme is it's either fish she or fish he.
Okay. Are you? And you seem like the kind of guy that would be into it. You're not mad at a gender reveal party, right?
I mean, I would never invite a lot of, like all my bros, like I'm not inviting any of them because I would, lose points. But anyhow, no, we're just going to play along. It's special. So we'll see what happens.
Are you guys hoping for something? Because I feel like the gender reveals, people go crazy when it's blue or pink. So
yeah, no, I mean, deep down, I would like Haley to have a daughter and a son, but I'm just hoping for healthy, for God's sakes.
Yeah,
I mean, healthy is all that really matters.
That's why. Can we just have a balloon that pops open that says healthy?
Yeah,
Can there be a healthy color?
I love that.
I'm so over that. I do like seeing the ones that go wrong, where like the guy misses the basketball shot or misses hitting the ball, and everybody's laughing at him.
Did you see the one last week where the guy is a baseball, and he hits the baseball, it's blue, and then instead of running over to his girl, or his girl's coming towards him, he runs to his boys, because he's on a baseball team, some college baseball team or something like that,
God.
and they all start hugging each other while she's just standing there.
That's terrible. No, I mean, I mean the feeling of, you're talking about like when your son came into the world and how it just physiologically, like a switch happened. That's what happened to me when my little girl came. It was just like, I couldn't believe how huge my heart got. I mean, just there's something about having a little girl, being a dad and thinking like, oh my God, I've got to protect this little being, and
tell me about it. I thought about going to her school and beating up 5-year-olds almost every day that I pushed her down. I mean, it really, like I'm telling you, and you don't, I don't think, I'm not joking, or going to confront their parent, not confront, but have a conversation with their parents. It doesn't hold me back. I'm scared of everything in life, but when it comes to stuff with my daughter, there's just something that goes away and there's no fear, and it's dangerous, but you're right. You just want to do anything you can to protect.
What's that John Mayer song about fathers be good to your daughters?
I thought you were going to say your body's a wonderland.
No, well, might be. No, but my son, my attitude was like, okay, but of course I was much younger. I think I was like 28 or something like that when he was born. But it was more like, okay, I've got to teach him to be able to take care of himself or whatever. And I feel a lot of those things too for my daughter. And she's much wilder than he is. If we turn our backs for 5 seconds, she's standing on the kitchen table, like playing with the chandelier.
Yeah.
But
it's hard to shut that down because I'm just a friend to my daughter. I don't ever want to be. I have to be a parent sometimes. Like she was on Red last week, with the color scheme, purple good, red bad, and so it was parent contact. So I had to be a parent. But yeah, it's even tough. It's even tough to like yell or get mad at her.
It's insane. So if we do have a little girl, I'm just scared as much as my heart grade that it'll just explode if we have another girl coming. So
we're trying again soon. She just got the. She just got the home pregnancy test.
Breaking news here on the Relevancy.
My God, you guys were going crazy with those home pregnancy tests last time.
Gosh,
and they were doing like 4 a day.
And timing out the ovulation and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's entering the house.
Wow,
again.
and you guys are gonna have another one?
We're gonna try. So the plan is to try again. And not IVF, that's the expensive one. The IUI,
that's $500 a pop.
No, or $1,500.
That's when you move the team right to the 1 yard line and see if they can put it in the end zone.
Punch it in.
It's there. Like the extra point.
Come on, boys, we got you right there. All you got to do is punch it in.
You get one play.
All you got to do is Mike Allstott this thing in there. And so I think we're probably gonna try for 3-4. I don't know. It'll depend. Say 3-4 months or whatever. And if it doesn't take, that's it. We're gonna just be thankful for the healthy little baby boy we have. Focus all our energy on him. But we have that same thing in our head too. Like the little girl, it'd be just so nice to 2 years later or whatever, have the companion, the little girl, to go along with it.
It's funny. And having a daughter, I never thought, it'd be so cute to have a little boy. I just, no, I'm good. Like, I think I don't want a boy. I've seen these boys and I don't want a boy. Like this, I'm good without it. So I'm glad I got that girl part taken care of, because I'd imagine what it was like. Cause I'm always trying, when I go to the store, I'm like just getting her a ball, I'm trying to, that's how I treat her. So I wonder what it'd be like, but no, I'm perfectly content by having one.
So what's up for you guys now? What's next?
I don't know. The future's bright, I think, coming out of the pandemic, hopefully, and this era that we're in. There's a few things on the macro scale that concern me. I feel like that our democracy is in flux, I'm not going off on a tangent.
No.
But outside of that, I just want to stay focused on what I'm doing at the Eagle, and the opportunities I'm having there, and really solidify it there, so it makes it harder for them to fire me next time. And focus on my little baby boy, and that's it. And I'm good. I don't bucket list stuff or whatever. I mean, I had a lot of adventures early on in life. I'm 49 now. So if I become a boring dad and just kind of live through vicariously through my son for the rest of my days, I'll be fine with that.
I'm sorry I said you're 50 earlier. I know it's coming up in August. I
don't care.
I know it's just like, we're so listen, for me, I want to just, continue. Well, I want to start to, kill it here. Like this is where I wanted to be in my career. I wanted to get out of radio and have something on my resume that wasn't radio, that I felt like could help me, for the rest of my life. And I feel like I finally have started to establish that, and I'm very proud of myself. And I just want to continue to thrive in this world and continue to do some of the things I'm doing with the Lightning. It's just the experiences I've had over the last couple of years, working with them, podcasting with them, meeting all of their players, being a part of, Stanley Cup victories and stuff.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, I manifested for a long time. I wanted to work for the Lightning. When I was in radio, I was like, I want to work for the Lightning. I want to work for the Lightning. And I thought it would be in a full-time capacity, and it's not, but it's in a capacity that I absolutely love, and I'm totally content with. So, I mean, I can't, much like Fisher. I mean, I think we're totally we're both in great spots right now.
Yep.
Right where I want to be.
What about you, Cords? What's next for Cords Owen?
So I just been trying to help my clients as much as I can. Like right now we have one client who, I really get off on it. I really, really love helping them and doing things that they don't expect from us. So right now, one of our clients is in the building industry. He creates construction materials, and we're actually helping him open a new location in Georgia. And so that's
just
really
Alametals?
Alametals, yeah. It's super exciting because his phone won't stop ringing from people needing what he does. And
do you need anything?
Yeah, you need any trusses or floor joists or anything?
Sure.
We can get it there. We can get it there quick and cheap.
I could use a couple of medium trusses.
You built a whole pool in your backyard, didn't you? I mean, you could use some stuff.
Yeah, but I didn't build it by myself. but I hired somebody.
I mean, I'm excited about that. I'm excited about just doing stuff around the house. I mean, I used to love to fish. I mean, I still love to fish. I haven't used my boat, but maybe one time in the last year. The boat, I bought a new trailer for it because it wasn't going to be parked in my driveway.
Well, let's go out on the boat. I didn't know you had a boat. I'm always looking for friends with boats. What about you, Fish?
We should have done this on the boat.
Should have done what on the boat?
This
podcast? It would have been a little challenging with the wind noise, but we'll get out there.
It's just it's crazy though, just for people. I mean, I don't know who's interested in this, but I started talking to Cords like years ago. Like we talked when Fisher was doing stuff here, and I talked to you about. Maybe a position, and then we talked, right after I left radio, and then this finally came together where there was this position that I felt like perfectly.
Timing's really important.
Yeah.
Speaking of timing, you had called me the day before just to say hi. Right. Was there any correlation? Like, had you already spoken with Seth about it? No, you hadn't spoken with him.
No.
So you just called me to catch up after we hadn't talked to each other in 6 months or whatever.
I just was feeling like I had just left an event. And it was one of these like CEO events that I'm starting to go to a lot more of these days. And someone was there who had won the Little League World Series as a kid and formed a company with his teammates. And he's going to be a guest on this show. And I could just see it where I was talking to this guy and he was looking back at me like, oh my God, this guy's got like an audience. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. Like, I mean, you inspired me to do this when you were doing the Wake Show in the old podcast studio. And I just remember thinking, man, this is so odd, like having somebody talk about this podcast, because I just feel like I'm here having conversations, trying to highlight others and things like that. And I'm just like, wow, this is incredible. Like there's actually people like that respect what we're doing here and are listening to it. And I just had this like, gooey kind of feeling. And I was like, I'm just going to call Chris and tell him thank you for helping me not be scared to do this.
Because then the next day I get a text from Seth with your posting for the job. He's like, you still keep in touch with Cords?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he just called me yesterday. We talked yesterday. I go, yeah, give him a call, see what happens. The next thing you know, he calls me back and goes, I got the job.
Right. No, that was pure coincidence. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, I like the story.
Then he called me back the next day and said, "Hey, do you want to come in on Gord's podcast?"
I think that was like 2
like
weeks
already into producer mode.
Isn't Gord's good though? Like I'm just saying like I'm
Yes.
not sucking up at all because you're my boss. I'm saying like you're good at having these, like the ones that I've set it on, just having this. So I mean, and there, I mean, a lot of people just aren't. I mean, anybody could talk into a microphone, anybody could have a podcast, but to be good at it, there's like 5% of people. So,
well, thank you very much, Seth. When he sits in here, when we do it, the first thing I do is I look over at him like, "Was it good?"
Dude, he took the mics off. He's like, "How was it?" I'm like, he would know how bits were back in the day because I used to just like, I would just like have like.
He'd walk out of the it didn't happen a lot.
I would just have looks on my face, you know, if he was something.
Yeah, bits not going well, a phone call's not going well. You could just see the life drain out of his face.
All right.
And it'll just kind of look down. And then I feel like, oh, I'm just.
All right, this isn't therapy, okay? Listen, we learned, we grew, we're happy. He ended on a good note. We're both happy. We're good. We're where we want to be. You're going to have another kid. Everything's great.
And on the next episode.
But you guys are still in the same industry, so to speak. I mean, you're using different channels. Chris, you're using a lot of the same channels with radio and your morning show on the 107.3.
Yeah, 107.3.
The Eagle. And so that's a classic rock format. And so people can listen to you there every morning.
Yep.
I mean, you don't get to get into your life as much as you used to.
And I'm okay with that. Like, I feel like, I don't know about you, but I feel like we put too much out there back in the day. And I did it because, I don't know, I thought... Like I said, going back, you know,
but you're in a groove, and that's where people can follow you. People can catch up with you. Are you active on social media?
No, I try not to be.
All right, so
seriously,
but you do have. You have thousands of followers.
Yeah, but and they're
Russian bots.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Seth, where can people keep up with you?
Oh man, I'd say Bake More Pies. You know, follow us there. I'm doing the block party for the Lightning, so you can catch that on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And I have a blog called 5 Tool Mooks that I started, a sports blog. So.
Where's that 5 Tool Mooks come from?
It started from 5 Tool is
is that a sports term?
Well, that's the reference for the perfect baseball player that has all 5 tools, you know. So and then I
feel like Mook's a racial term that shouldn't be said out loud.
No, Mook's just an idiot.
Oh, okay.
Mook's an idiot. So it's like the perfect.
It's like a ham and egger.
Yeah, it's like the perfect. It's the 5 tool. It's like you got the perfect idiot. That's the kind of that's the name for where it comes from. So you know. People that know what 5 tool means knows it's kind of a sports term, but yeah, I wanted something that just stood out. I don't want to be like Seth Kushner Sports. So yeah, so I started that. I started 5 Tool Mooks, and you know, just I'm very busy, but I love it. I'm very creative, and I want to do a bunch of different things. So
well, that's great. Well, I'm sure people will follow you there, and make sure you subscribe to his channels there and follow that sports broadcast. You can follow us anywhere where podcasts are found. And across all of our social media, Bake More Pie social media, thelawofrelevancy.com. And thank you guys again for coming in. I'm really had a lot of fun today.
Can we do this again? Because I got paid to do this. Like I got paid to get interviewed today, so we should do this again soon.
Whenever you guys want, you're welcome back. You're welcome to do it without me too. Probably be better. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.